Hello, I'm John Proctor on the channel John on the West, and as you may have heard,
the empty room had a point of entry from outside, you see.
I'm having a Danganronpa V3 killing harmony adventure, and I accidentally got myself killed because I clicked slightly in the wrong place in this corner, and it was wrong. There it is. Let's start the timer
You're talking
as well.
about under the floor, right?
Under the floor.
Huh? Under the
This is
floor?
where I should have ended the last episode.
Yes, there's a crawl space under the floor a person could move through. There was also a hole that connected it to the neighboring room.
If the culprit used the hole, they could have entered and exited the seance room.
If we consider that possibility, then there is another suspect.
Another suspect? Who?
It's appearing before me. Oh, I can see it clearly. The true identity of Tenko's killer.
Which means I'm wrong, aren't I? So, I've seen this.
The culprit sneaked in during the seance by crawling under the floor.
But it was pitch black during the seance. How could they even see if they were under the floor?
Because it wasn't dark under the floor. You see, our villain had a light.
Light? You mean candle?
I mean, Kibo's flashlight function.
Huh? Now hold on a second.
Kibo could have used that function to get under the floor and sneak into the empty room during the seance!
I said hold on a second.
He used his robot functions to commit the murders.
Hold on a second!
So I've heard this before, and I had to restart the recording, but I didn't get past this. I have no idea. Is it possible to use the flashlight? No, because it's blinding light, and we'd see
The
it.
culprit sneaked in during the seance by crawling under the floor.
But it was pitch black during the seance. How could they even see if they were under the floor?
Because it wasn't dark under the floor. You see, our villain had a light.
If a room as dark as it was, one would need a light, no? Or are you denying my entire theory? Either way, okay, then I don't really know what to do at this point.
The culprit sneaked in during the seance by crawling under the floor.
But it was pitch black during the seance. How could they even see if they were under the floor?
Because it wasn't dark under the floor. You see, our villain had a light.
Alright, cool. That's wrong!
I don't think the culprit could have used a light while under the floor. There was a hole in the corner of the room. If a light were used, it would have leaked through and we would have seen it.
But when we did the seance, the room was definitely pitch
Doesn't mean he
black.
didn't kill the first person there.
So a light was not shined under the floor, which means you cannot claim I am the culprit.
Jeez, here I thought this would be the case where the murder could only be done by a robot.
You have accused me of being the culprit more than once now, simply because I am a
Well,
robot.
you are a robot.
My status as a robot does not mean I am capable of performing superhuman feats. My vision is somewhat poor, and I only possess average physical strength and intelligence.
All right, you made your point. God, now I feel sort of bad for you.
I neither want nor need your pity.
Enough with the flashlight! It's way too bright!
It would have been difficult to move around under the floor in that pitch black darkness. Maybe the floor and the hole have nothing to do with this case.
Then why was floorboard under Tenko lined up funny? Gonta thinks that was so culprit could stab Tenko from underfloor.
Ooh, nice observation, Gonta. Are you finally getting used to the class trials?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Thank
there
you.
Go. That was nice.
Don't say it like that. You're better off not being used to this kind of stuff.
Maybe they marked Tenko with glowing paint and looked
Uh-huh.
for that. That'd let the culprit find her. Then they could stab her through the
The marker
floorboards.
stone.
Boy, that sounds really familiar too. But I'm just gonna
Yeah, I can't
ignore
remember
it.
what the familiar thing he said before was.
Her corpse didn't have any trace of glowing paint, though.
Oh, yeah. So then why was that floorboard loose?
The loose floorboard was the one under Tenko, right? If the culprit used it while she was still alive, she'd totally notice.
Who fucking cares? Fussing over that won't get us closer to the culprit!
We shouldn't dismiss this line of inquiry, however. Instead of butting our heads against this, how about we concentrate on another issue?
What other issue?
Perhaps first, we should figure out how and when exactly Tenko was killed.
When? So not during seance?
Tenko was in the metal cage for the whole seance, wasn't she? How could someone have gotten to her there?
Maybe the culprit killed her before she went under the metal cage.
That's not possible. She was alive at that point.
Yes, she spoke, but somebody's got a tape recorder.
Yes, she was unmistakably alive when the seance began.
That was right before we blew out the candles. But when the light came back...
The floorboard was removed at that point, so it's likely she was already dead then.
Yeah. Spills blood.
So she was killed when the room was dark?
But she was inside Cage, right? Gonta think it impossible to kill her then.
Then she wasn't killed when the room was dark. It was a different time.
A different time?
How the fuck should I know? You figure it out, shitheads! Huh? Since Gonta said it was impossible, I'm proposing an alternate theory. Now hurry up and think! If you want to make my golden brain tingle, start circle jerking your limp dick brains!
Okay, is this a circle jerk? Let's not ask that question. Marker stone, white sheet.
When Tenko got killed, it wasn't during the seance.
It could not have been done at any other time. She was under the cage the whole time, and she was dead when the cage was lifted.
What about moment Cage was lifted?
Ooh, like that.
When Cage lifted, culprit stabbed Tenko real fast. So fast, no one saw.
Oh my!
So who lifted the cage?
It was me.
Then obviously Himiko is the culprit!
There's no doubt!
Tenko not being killed during the seance. It might not be possible, but there's no evidence for it.
When Tenko got killed, it wasn't during the seance.
It could not have been done at any other time. She was under the cage the whole time, and she was dead when the cage was lifted.
What about moment Cage was lifted?
Ooh, like that.
When Cage lifted, culprit stabbed Tenko real fast. So fast, no one saw.
So who lifted the cage?
Who is the culprit?
There's no doubt. It wasn't during the seance.
It could not have been done at any other time. She was under the cage the whole time, and she was dead when the cage was lifted.
What moment Cage was lifted?
Oh, damn you!
When Cage lifted, culprit stabbed Tango real fast. So fast, no one saw. So who lifted the cage? Obviously, Himiko was the culprit. When Tango got killed, it wasn't during the seance. It could not have been done
At
any other time.
She
was
was
under the cage,
the
though.
whole time.
And she was
Dead.
when the cage was lifted.
What about moment Cage was lifted?
That's wrong!
No, it wasn't possible to kill her the moment the cage was lifted. Because the inside of the white cloth had Tenko's blood on it. That cloth was removed before the cage was lifted. If Tenko was stabbed then, there wouldn't be blood on the cloth.
What? But how could my golden brain be wrong when it felt so
I've had an
right?
idea. What if the second murder was done to cover up the first murder? So the second murder was just going to plain get away with it. It was done just to confuse the first murder. That's why there's two blood things. So like we'll just get so confused about the second murder. The first murder is going to get away with it. I think. Yeah, I'm not sure who though.
The only possibility is that Tenko was killed during the seance.
I got your remodel right here!
It has to be Marcus Stone. But I had to.
No, it's still wrong to think that Tenko was killed during the seance.
I just want to check something a minute. Okay, Stone is there.
What?
I'm gonna prove it right now. My golden brain is gonna go all out!
Okay, Buckle go down, see if I remember how to do this.
Tenko died after the seance.
I've forgotten how to play.
It happened when the sheet was lifted. That was the moment the culprit chose to stab the fuck out of Tenko through the cage! They stuck the thin blade through the gaps, and that clean white sheet got stained blood red!
But the weapon was a sickle. Only the blade could have fit through the gaps.
The blade's all you need. If you stick the blade through a gap in the cage, it'd be long enough to reach Tenko, sitting in there with her neck all exposed. She wasn't that far from the cage's gaps. In which case, the person who lifted the sheet is the culprit, and that's none other than Kyo! The blade's all you need. If you stick the blade through a gap in the cage, it'd be long enough to reach Tenko, sitting in there with her neck all exposed.
She was probably sitting down normally when she was in the cage. Oh, goddamn. Which piece of evidence is the one that says...
I was wrong!
We all know she was sitting in the turtle position, I just don't know how to express that.
The blade's all you need. If you stick the blade through a gap in the cage, it'd be long enough to reach Tenko, sitting in there with her neck all exposed.
I'll cut through your words! Wait just a minute. Tenko wasn't sitting down inside the cage. She was bent over with her forehead against the marker stone. And the cage itself was about 3 feet tall. The sickle's blade was too short to reach Tenko while she was in that position.
Then I messed up again? How could this happen? I am so embarrassed.
No worries, Mew. Everyone already knows you're an embarrassment to the human race.
Yeah, no worries.
How embarrassing!
If Shuichi is right, then it's impossible for Tenko to have been killed through the cage.
She couldn't have been killed during the seance since she was in the cage, right?
If she was killed then, the cloth over the cage would have been pierced.
Not during the seance or from below the floor. Then it's impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, for a living person.
Huh?
What if Angie's spirit killed Tenko?
What are you talking about? That's not possible!
We don't know that. Some things are impossible for a human, but not for a spirit.
Don't say stupid stuff like that! Screw spirits!
Stop that now.
Angie's spirit killed Tenko? Why?
Himiko?
Why would Angie's spirit kill Tenko?
What if Tenko killed Angie, and then Angie's spirit came back for revenge?
Like I said, that's impossible! Spirits can't be culprits!
Then explain how the culprit killed Tenko under these impossible circumstances.
Well,
See? You can't explain, can you? Only a spirit could have done that!
Wait! I know! What if the culprit was hiding inside the cage? If they were in there, they could have stabbed Tenko during the seance!
No. If there was someone else in the cage, we would have noticed.
I agree with Kaito. The culprit could have been inside the cage.
You do?
Nonsense. There was no space in the cage for the culprit to hide.
Maybe the culprit wouldn't need to hide in the first place.
Oh.
What?
She's saying she killed herself.
Also, the culprit could have killed her in the cage at any time. I think you know what I'm getting at,
Yes.
right?
The day she's referring to is...
I believe Maki is referring to Tenko herself.
Yeah? What did you say?
Are you saying Tenko is the culprit?
She committed suicide.
Suicide?
If she committed suicide, it would explain a lot of things we couldn't figure out. She volunteered to be in the cage and then stabbed herself during
ruined the
seance.
seance.
It wouldn't matter how dark the room was.
But the sickle she was stabbed with was under the floor, right? If Tenko had stabbed herself, wouldn't the sickle still be inside the cage?
Oh my god. Mew actually said
Oh my
something
God.
smart.
Perhaps that explains why the floorboard was removed. After stabbing herself with the sickle, she threw it underneath
Ow.
the floor.
So she took off the floorboard to get rid of the sickle?
Yes, that makes sense to Gonta.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me. There's no reason for Tenko to commit suicide.
Maybe I wasn't too far off with the theory I had
The
earlier.
magician girl did the murder. That would be a good reason to commit suicide.
You know, about Tenko killing Angie.
Yeah?
Because Tenko and Angie were fighting for your attention, right?
Yeah, we all know about this.
Tenko's pent-up frustration led her to commit such an atrocity. Her conscience couldn't handle it anymore, so she decided to end her own life.
What?
But if she was gonna kill herself, why do it
That
during the
is a very,
seance?
very good question.
She wanted to hide the truth of her
Why?
suicide.
Really? Why?
There could only be one reason to hide it in a killing game, right? It's to take us down
Yeah.
with her.
And I don't think she would do that.
Take us down?
She wanted us to pick the wrong answer during the class trial, so she could bring us all down. She wanted us to die with her. Okay, well, she probably just wanted Himiko to die with her, but still.
But what are you saying? Tenko wasn't like that. She told me.
Survive with me and everyone else.
What if all of that was just a lie?
A lie?
Wait! We should believe Tenko's last words!
The true terror of class trials is that you shouldn't believe everything said.
Himiko, you said that Tenko would never do anything like that. But how can you be so sure? Did you guys actually know each other? People keep all sorts of secrets. Like Maki. She hid the fact that she's a cold-blooded killer. Is it wise of us to trust other people wholeheartedly in this kind of situation?
Jeez, you're such a naive dude.
Naive?
We're all just people, you know? Of course we're gonna have some secrets. What matters is whether there's any malice behind them.
People can lie about how malicious their hidden secrets really are.
Well, duh. It's impossible to know for sure what others are thinking. That's why it all comes down to whether or not you believe in yourself. If you get betrayed, it's not their fault. It's your fault for believing in them. That's why I believed in Maki Roll, because I wanted to believe in her.
Just because you're acting all cool doesn't mean you get to skip training.
Hey, come on. Don't you think you're being a little too strict?
Well, we come from different backgrounds. So for now, let's agree to disagree. No one's ever called me naive before. And from Kaito? Seriously?
Whether or not I believe. My heart can't reach Tenko anymore. But I want to believe in her. She wouldn't commit suicide. She wouldn't try to take us down. That's what I want to believe!
Me too. Gonta no can believe Tenko commits suicide.
But if Tenko did commit suicide, that would answer all of our questions.
If you insist we believe in Tenko, then provide a reason to do so.
A proper reason.
All right, I'll give you a reason.
Is there a reason?
Yes, there is. Will you trust me, Maki? If it turns out I'm wrong, you can blame me all you like.
Dead, mate.
But for now, I need you to trust in my detective work.
Testing. Cool, I've got voice. I was worried for a brief second there. I don't believe Tenko would kill herself because of what she said. See you guys after the seance. She said, see you guys after. I doubt she had a sudden change of heart. Just because we don't know what she was, how she was killed doesn't mean that it was suicide. We shouldn't be satisfied with that, and if we keep thinking, we'll find the truth. And that means we have to believe in Tenko. You know what? They didn't need to call around in the dark. They could have called around while the lights are still on, and just waited in position. They had a... they knew exactly where she was. I'll make them all believe.
So far, suicide seems to be the best explanation.
Her plan was to take us down with her. So she hid her true intentions.
Dick moves have been my favourite.
Tenko's not that kind of person.
That came up so far. These
But if Tenko
all
did
the
commit
thoughts of the other
suicide,
people.
it would explain how she died during the seance.
She could have secretly brought the sickle and then stabbed herself with it.
Finally, with the last of her strength, she threw the sickle underneath
Okay,
the
no,
floor.
it's the monochromophiles.
All the pieces.
Yeah, I said that before. She doesn't have
So
any
far,
strength. It was an
suicide seems to
instant
be the
death.
best explanation.
Her plan was to take us down with her.
Dick moves.
So she hid her true intentions.
But if Tenko did commit suicide, it would explain how she died during the seance.
She could have secretly brought the sickle and then stabbed herself with it.
Finally, with the last of her strength.
Apparently she was. I thought her death was instant.
So far, suicide seems to be the best explanation.
Her plan was to take us down with her. So she...
Damn it.
hid her true intentions.
I had the right idea.
But if Tenko did commit suicide, it would explain how she died during the seance. She could have secretly brought the sickle and then stabbed herself with it. Finally,
With the last of her strength.
Really? Unless her death was instant. Oh no! Did I have the wrong thing selected?
So far, suicide seems to be the best
Oh,
explanation.
oops.
Her plan was to take us down with her.
Hang on. It says in the last moments her death was instant. Oh. Nope, I'm an idiot. Probably didn't kill her immediately.
So she hid her true intentions.
Tenko's not that kind of person.
but if Tenko did commit suicide, it would explain how she died during the seance.
She could have secretly.
Loose floorboard.
secretly brought the sickle and then stabbed herself with it.
Finally, with the last of her strength, she threw the sickle underneath the floor. All the pieces fit.
What does it turn it into? I need to make them think their suicide theory wouldn't work.
So far, suicide seems to be the best explanation.
Her plan was to take us down with her. So she hid her true intentions.
Tenko's not that kind of person!
But if Tenko did commit suicide, it would explain how she died during the seance.
She could have secretly brought the sickle and then stabbed herself with it.
Finally, with the last of her strength, she threw
bollocks!
the sickle underneath the floor.
All the pieces fit. So far, suicide seems to be the best explanation. Her plan was to take us down with her. So she hid her true intentions.
She could have secretly brought the sickle and then stabbed herself with it.
Finally, with the last of her strength,
God damn.
she threw the sickle
Gonna die
underneath
on her.
All the pieces fit. So far, suicide seems to be the best explanation. Her plan was to take us down with her. So she hid her true intentions.
I like that your cursor moves slightly to stop me from doing exactly what I was going to do.
It would explain how she died during the seance.
She could have secretly brought the sickle and then stabbed herself with it.
Finally, with the last
Oh,
of her
you
strength,
bastard! It's just...
she threw
the
the
timing's
sickle
really difficult.
underneath the floor.
can't...
Oh, thank goodness it's only here, though.
Our suicide.
Her plan was
To keep us down with her. So she hid her true intentions.
And then stab herself with it.
Find strength. She threw the sickle underneath the floor. All the pieces fit.
So she hid her true intentions.
Tenko's not that kind of person! But if Tenko did commit suicide, it would explain how she died during the seance.
She could have secretly brought the sickle. And then stabbed herself with it.
Finally, with the last of her strength,
it's just...
she threw the sickle underneath the floor. All the pieces...
Maybe if I just wait a little bit longer, right? While it's on, by the time it gets there.
So she hid her true intentions.
With it.
Finally, with the last of her strength, she threw the sickle underneath the floor. All
The pieces.
pieces.
So far, suicide seems to be the best explanation. Her plan was to keep us down with her. So she hid her true intentions. But if Tenko did commit suicide, it would explain how she died during the seance. She could have secretly brought the sickle. And then stabbed
Herself with it.
finally, with the last of her strength,
Yes!
she threw the sickle underneath the floor.
I'll reveal the truth.
Committing perjury.
Tenko couldn't have thrown the sickle under the floor. Because she died instantly.
Instantly?
I'm certain of it. My investigation determined that she died instantly.
What's your opinion, Maki? I'd like to hear from someone who specializes in murder.
Go with it.
Maki.
You're right. I completely forgot about that important
You're
detail.
crap at lying.
Tenko died instantly.
What?
As an assassin, I specialize in killing my targets swiftly. I have no doubt that Tenko was killed immediately.
Words of a true killer. Pretty sure we can believe everything she said.
Thank you, Maki.
How could you forget that, Maki roll? You better apologize to Shuichi.
Excuse me?
It's okay, Kaito, really. No apology necessary. Anyway, Tenko died so suddenly that she couldn't have gotten rid of the sickle. Knowing that, the theory that she killed herself just doesn't fit, correct?
Just like I thought. Tenko wouldn't commit suicide.
Thank goodness, Himiko.
Which means someone definitely killed Tenko during the seance.
Her suicide was considered because we could not determine how she was killed.
No! There must have been a way! We're gonna figure it out!
Did any of the participants witness anything peculiar during the seance? If you know something, please speak up. It could be the key to solving this mystery.
Not a bad idea. We should remember what happened at the seance. Let me try to remember. I'm sure there's something. I'll need some kind of clue that will help me solve this mystery. Oh, there's the sound.
Did anything seem out of the ordinary during the seance?
There is something that bothers me. The fact that the seance failed. The ritual was perfect, and yet it failed.
how utterly strange.
Now that I think about it, while we were all singing the song, I heard something fall.
I agree.
I agree. Himiko, you think that something fell because of that sound you heard, right?
It sounded like something heavy fell down and hit the floor really hard. What could have fallen down?
Fallen down? There wasn't anything on the ceiling that could have fallen down, right?
Am I wrong? I thought something fell, but
The sound was pretty loud. It did seem like something hit the floorboards.
Loud sound, like something hit the floorboards. Maybe that sound had something to do with the other thing that happened in the dark. The murder. What? I don't know what other thing happened in the dark. And that had nothing to do with the sound during the seance. It was the seance. You're not the caged child. No.
This is it! I think the floorboard coming off had something to do with that sound. That floorboard came loose at some point during the seance, right?
Could the floorboard have made such a loud sound, though?
It was the sound of an intense impact.
Okay, here's an idea. Maybe the person hid under the ground, she eventually fell because of the weight, and then he did stab, pushed it back up.
If the impact was that intense, then it could have loosened the floorboard.
That is true. There would have had to be a strong impact to make that sound. It wasn't... Oh, hang on. But what was it? What could it possibly be? Well, it actually says possible be, but whatever.
All right, then. Let's go with that. We all gotta put our heads together now.
Let's do that. Don't stop debate.
So what made the floorboard come loose?
Judging from the sound, there must have been considerable force.
Someone who participated in the seance. Maybe that person tore off the floorboard.
That wouldn't make such a loud crashing sound.
Maybe the wooden statue fell over.
But that statue was still on top of the cage.
Culprit hid under floor, then stood up with such might.
But we already said there was no one under the floor.
Someone must have stomped through the floorboard.
What the fuck?
A floorboard that comes loose when you step on it is dangerous. God, it's like I'm the only one here who's staying on the ball.
You hardly have any experience with balls to say that, Mew.
Don't be stupid. Don't you know me and balls are the best of friends?
Fair enough, then.
So what made the floorboard floorboard come loose. Judging from the sound, there must have been considerable force. Someone participating in the thing. Maybe that person tore up the floorboards. That wouldn't make such a loud crashing sound. Maybe the wooden statue fell over.
But that statue is still on top of the cage.
Culprit hide under floor. Then stood up with such might.
But we already said they're under the floor.
Someone must have stomped.
Oh, you bastard!
A floorboard that comes loose when you step on it is dangerous. Right, it's like I'm the only one here who's staying on the ball. Who have you any experience with balls to say that, Mew? Don't be stupid. Don't be only balls if that's the case. So what made the floorboard come loose? Judging from the sound, there must have been considerable force. Someone participating in the thing. Maybe that person tore up the floorboards. That wouldn't make such a loud crashing sound.
I know I should be clicking on things.
But that statue was still on top of the cage. Culprit hide under floor. Then stood up with such might. But we already said there was no one under the floor.
Someone must have stomped through the floorboard.
Okay, well I didn't get the V, but
Kokichi is right. The floorboard came loose because someone stomped on it.
The floorboards fit perfect. Going to make sure first time we go to empty room.
When we first saw the room, yes. But when I looked again during the investigation, one of the cross pieces supporting the floorboards was cut off. After examining the cut, I concluded that it must have been done deliberately.
Someone? You mean the culprit, right? Why'd they do that?
What did the culprit stand to gain by cutting the cross piece?
what did they stand to gain? That's the question. To solve this case, I'll need to think carefully about crosspiece and the floorboard. Tenko's body was found at one end of the loose floorboard, and the crosspiece that had been cut was on the other end of the floorboard. The unsupported part outside the cage, so it should have been something. Oh, so she was tipped up, so she could be stabbed through the sheet. What? Only one of the cross pieces was cut, the other two were intact. One of them was right under Tenko, and the other was in the center, right about where the edge of the cage was. What was the culprit attempting to achieve by stumbling on the floorboard? Come on, think. She was lifting her up, closer to the cage. I have no idea, by the way. S. How do I do the seance? Seesaw. I don't have any idea. Effect.
That's right. The floorboard might have been used as a seesaw.
Awesome. Sorry, I didn't realise I hadn't had the green screen up for the entire episode. Well, it's fixed now. Yeah, I just looked over my recording and went, oh god, what's that? Can't fix that, can I?
Yeah? A seesaw?
A seesaw. Right. I've been John Fox on Channel John West. I've been having a Danganronpa. 3. Killing Harmony Adventure. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.